A long, contentious meeting at Golden Hall today as San Diego tackles the issue of short-term vacation rentals.
It helps me when I have stress or more stuff. It's like a good feeling. I just really love playing music. It's one of the best things I ever had in my life.
This is your Brain on Music, the case for bringing back arts education. And the latest installment of the Star Wars franchise is here. A spoiler-free preview, we promise, coming up. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. The years-long debate over short-term rentals in San Diego is nearing conclusion today. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has been watching a very long city council meeting today at Golden Hall downtown.
The city council has been putting off a decision on what to do about short-term rentals for years. Today, hundreds of people gave hours of public testimony on both sides of the issue. Supporters of sites like Airbnb say short-term rentals are a huge opportunity for the sharing economy, while opponents say they're disrupting quiet neighborhoods. The council is considering two options today. One by Councilwoman Barbara Bree is more restrictive and would limit permits for short-term rentals to one per property owner. A more permissive option is being proposed by 4 councilmen. It would allow up to 3 permits per person. Both would charge fees for those permits and use that money for more enforcement to make sure guests are being good neighbors. And again, this issue has vexed the city for several years, and the council has many other high priority issues to address. So there are people on both sides of the debate here who are ready for a solution, whatever that may be. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
CAL FIRE says strong winds continue to push the Thomas Fire into Santa Barbara County. The latest update has the fire at 360 square miles. Investigators don't know yet what caused the fire. It's been burning since last week after starting in Ventura County. Fire crews are now worried about the fire's proximity to communication towers and a possible impact on public safety and cell phone service. Housing officials say regions scorched by the recent fires are seeing a steep increase in rents. Officials with the California Department of Housing and Community Development say the sudden hike have little to do with price gouging. They say the problem is a severe lack of homes in places like Sonoma County, where wildfires destroyed more than 5,000 homes.
You're causing an incredible burden, not just on the individuals who have lost their homes, and that can't be understated, but also on the communities that surround them, because our housing has been in such short supply with such incredibly low vacancy rates.
Housing officials say they're working with the governor's Office of Emergency Services to help residents find new housing in burn areas. City leaders in San Francisco are mourning the death of Mayor Ed Lee, who passed away suddenly overnight. The Associated Press reports Lee was hospitalized and surrounded by family, friends, and colleagues. He was 65. The San Francisco Chronicle reports he suffered a heart attack while shopping at a supermarket. The president of San Francisco's Board of Supervisors is now the acting mayor. Lee was known for presiding over San Francisco during its tech boom and for his embrace of sanctuary city policies. President Donald Trump is criticizing the nation's immigration policies in the wake of a bomb blast in New York City. Authorities have identified the suspect as a man from Bangladesh who arrived in the U.S. on a family immigrant visa. President Trump says Monday's attack and another in October are examples of why changes need to be made.
The first attacker came through the visa lottery, and the second through chain migration. We're going to end both of them. The lottery system and chain migration. We're going to end them fast. Congress must get involved immediately, and they are involved immediately, and I can tell you we have tremendous support. They will be ended. These attacks underscore the dangers we face from around the globe. The National Defense Authorization Act could not come at a more opportune or important time.
The president made the comments while signing a defense policy bill that authorizes a $700 billion budget for the military. However, a law from 2011 caps military spending at $549 billion. Congress has yet to pass a rollback to allow for the spending increase. The parent company of the Mission Valley Horton Plaza and UTC malls has been sold. Westfield is being bought by Unibel Rodham & Co. That's a French commercial real estate company that owns dozens of malls across Europe. The deal is worth $16 billion in cash and stock and is expected to close in the next few months. Westfield also operates Westfield North County in Escondido and Plaza Bonita Mall in National City. The city of San Diego wants to stimulate business growth in low to moderate income areas. A new business accelerator program coming to Southeast San Diego's Jacobs Center aims to pair aspiring business owners with experienced ones. Economic Development Department Director Eric Caldwell says it'll be an opportunity for people of all skill and education levels.
To connect them to capital, to connect them to experts in their particular field, to connect them to people who understand and can leverage their existing networks in the early stage community to help make those businesses as successful as possible.
Caldwell says about 1/3 of businesses fell within the first 5 years. Organizers plan to open the facility that will include a resource center by the summer. A retired U.S. Navy explosive ordnance disposal technician became the owner of a new smart home today. Andrew Bottrell is a triple amputee whose vehicle was hit by an IED while serving overseas in 2011. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman was there when Bottrell was welcomed home.
A police-led motorcade escorted Bottrell down his new street and to his new house in Claremont.
Welcome home, buddy. Welcome home.
Bottrell received the home courtesy of the Gary Sinise Foundation with friends, family, and fellow servicemen on hand to raise a flag in his honor.
Yeah, I can't really describe how amazing it is to receive a house in words. I don't know what to say to that. Should we go inside?
Is it locked?
Inside, the smart home is specially adapted to fit Bottrell's needs.
Wow. It controls the security system, the lights, the window shades, the HVAC, temperature. I can lock and unlock doors. I can talk to whoever's at the front door from it.
Bottrell lost both his legs and left arm in Afghanistan. He says the new technology will help him.
For instance, if somebody's dropping off a package, I am, I'm out of my legs and I can't get to the door before they want to walk away and leave it. I can say, hey, hold on, I'll be right there. Just give me a second. I got to put my legs on.
The kitchen is set up for wheelchair access with a lowered microwave, special oven, and pull-down shelving. Even the bathroom has special adaptations. Oh, and one other thing, Bottrell won't need keys for this house.
We'd like to officially present you the tablet that controls your house.
Bottrell says the best part about his new house is that there isn't a mortgage. He also says he's looking forward to sharing new memories with his wife and daughter here. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
America's opioid crisis includes victims who are born into addiction and forced from their homes. As Robert Ray reports, foster care systems are feeling the burden of children whose parents can't care for them.
Across the U.S., soaring use of opioids has forced tens of thousands of children from their homes, creating a generation of kids abandoned by addicted parents.
What's your favorite fish to catch?
Tiffany Eggers of McCordsville, Indiana, started fostering Eli as an infant. He was drug positive.
When I got him at 4 months, he reeked of some sort of substance. It literally took a week to get this horrible smell out of his hair, out of his saliva, out of his feces, out of his urine.
Today, Eli is a healthy little boy. The Eggers family adopted him, but will never forget the difficult process.
He's very colic. He just kind of screamed, and now I look back on, I think he was just traumatized.
Though substance abuse has long been an issue for child welfare officials, this is the most prolific wave of children affected by addiction since crack cocaine use surged in the 1980s.
He was born on methadone. They sent him home, and then he went in a severe withdrawal.
Shawnee Wilson grew up with addicts and was 13 when child welfare officials removed her from her home. Now, at 26, she's trying to beat heroin, having already lost custody of 2 children and given another up at birth. Her 4th child, Kingston, was born just over a year ago, and it took a month for doctors to wean him off the heroin Wilson exposed him to. He is in foster care now in Indianapolis, and Wilson is fighting to get him back.
It's hard. It was harder at first, as I was still struggling more with addiction, but now it's making me stronger for when he comes home.
New foster care cases involving parents who are using drugs have hit the highest point in more than 3 decades of record keeping, accounting for 92,000 children entering the system last year. The crisis is so severe, with a 32% spike in drug-related cases from 2012 to 2016.
I came to Indiana and I was floored at what I saw here.
Dr. Tara Benjamin is a maternal fetal medicine specialist. She treats women with high-risk pregnancies.
When I walked into the labor and delivery unit, there's always a whiteboard, but they had a list of patients with the title "Do Not Prescribe," and it meant if these women call, they're probably seeking, so don't prescribe for them. I had never heard of that in life. To me, that was an indicator of how bad this epidemic was here.
In the state of Indiana, drug-related foster cases shot up more than 6-fold between 2000 and 2015.
I read the report and I just burst out crying.
Judge Marilyn Moores has been on the front lines of helping children affected by the horrors of their parents' addiction. Her burden is making the right decision for families according to the law and her heart.
We had a 2-year-old that was found in a home. The neighbor heard him screaming. And thank God the door was unlocked, and the neighbor went over and found the 2-year-old in the home. The dad was dead of a heroin overdose with a needle in his arm, and no one knew how long the 2-year-old had been in the home.
The opioid epidemic is destroying communities and families. Meanwhile, thousands work towards solutions and a means to comfort the children born into the desolation of addiction. Robert Ray, Associated Press.
Heartbreaking situation there. The little blue pill that has helped millions of men with erectile dysfunction is turning white. AP reporter Mike Householder says drug maker Pfizer is launching its own cheaper generic version of Viagra, preempting the competition.
Daniel Labello is among the millions of men whose sex lives have been reinvigorated by pills.
Having access to the medication has improved my relationship because it takes a lot of the stress and tension away.
For many erectile dysfunction patients, it also takes away a lot of their cash.
You pay all of it just out of your pocket, right?
The cost of the medication does limit sex.
That's about to change. Pfizer's patent-protected monopoly on its blockbuster impotence drug Viagra ends next week. Two generic versions hit the market on Monday, and many more, much cheaper ones, will arrive in June.
It will specifically make a difference for patients who were not able to or unwilling to afford the expenses associated with Viagra now.
Patients like Brian Smith, who sometimes had to go to extreme measures to get their hands on ED medications.
It was unaffordable, out of the question, in Medicare's way of doing it with my Part D medical coverage, but I found a way by going through illegal channels, and I bought them in Canada.
Pfizer believes it has found a way to both help patients with the cost and fight back against the impending generics going on the market. The drug maker is turning its little blue pill white.
We will continue to support the branded version of Viagra. It'll maintain the same name. And there will also be a generic version. In our case, Pfizer's case, we will have an authorized generic.
Support for branded Viagra includes a cash home delivery program at half price, increased co-paid card discounts for uninsured patients, and co-payments as low as $20 for most insured patients. Pfizer will sell its generic version at half the $65 a pill retail price. Pharmaceuticals analyst Eric Gordon says Pfizer's plan is unprecedented.
What usually happens is the companies cut off marketing because they're going to lose 90 or 98% of the business pretty quickly no matter what they do. Pfizer is really hoping to keep a lot of the business. And, even if it keeps 20% of the business, this campaign will be a success.
Blue, white, or whatever color, more affordable ED pills should be easier to come by. Mike Householder, Associated Press.
We still have some gusty winds around the San Diego area, but overall it's been dry and warm. Here's Aaron Calandra with more on this weather pattern that may be sticking around for a while.
Still a bit breezy out here today in San Diego County. Could see some gusts up to 45 miles per hour, but not the norm. So we do not see any kind of wind advisories in place here for today, and a lot better compared to last week. Taking a look at the big picture here, it's awfully quiet, no rain in the forecast. We still do have these Santa Ana winds, not as gusty, so not as big of a problem, but it's still very dry, and fire wild danger is still pretty risky right now. 50 degrees tonight, nice and clear, and above average temperatures. Oceanside 39, Poway 49, Ramona 43, and Alpine 47 degrees. Borrego Springs 46, and Mount Laguna 39 degrees. Tomorrow, we still have this dry breeze coming on in because of this high pressure system, but you'll notice throughout the week, our temperatures are going to gradually cool down, still above average, but not as warm as the day before. So Oceanside 77 for our high tomorrow, San Diego 76, Poway well above average, 88 degrees, Alpine 81, and Borrego Springs coming in at 79 degrees. Lots of sunshine for everyone, and here we are with the extended forecast. Along the coast, Friday we do warm up to 77, but by Saturday we're down to 71, which is still well above average, should be in the mid-60s this time of year. Inland, lots of sunshine, temperatures in the 80s through Friday, and then dropping down to the 70s for Saturday. And in the mountains, we're in the 60s and in the 50s, staying dry and sunny, a bit breezy. And in the deserts, still very sunny and very warm for this time of year, especially Thursday, 80 degrees. And then dropping down to the 70s, again staying dry, and we might not see any kind of significant rainfall until the beginning of next year. For KPBS News, I'm Erin Calandra.
To mark 2 years since the Paris Climate Accord, California Governor Jerry Brown is in Paris for the One Planet Summit. It's a major conference that includes leaders from around the world discussing strategies to deal with climate change. Governor Brown is delivering the keynote address, which will connect California's wildfires to changing weather patterns. This is the first night of Hanukkah, and a special event was held at the White House to mark the occasion. Members of the Jewish faith gathered to illuminate the national menorah. The President's National Economic Council Director Gary Cohn did the honors. The special event included a performance from the United States Air Force Band. For the past few decades, standardized testing has put an intense focus on reading and math in U.S. schools. Educators say as a result, enrollment in arts has plummeted. So scientists are conducting their own test in the form of MRIs and EEGs to make a case for bringing arts education back. KPBS reporter Megan Burks met with one of the researchers to get a look at the findings.
3, 4, 1.
I think that my brain is moving and it's like relaxed. This toy that I have at home, that it's like a ball and it closes and it opens.
I think it might move a bit.
I think that actually shows some deep insight.
John Everson is a research scientist at UC San Diego.
And here's the visual cortex. Even when you're just listening to music, your brain is not just sort of passively recording what comes in, it's actually actively engaging with the sound.
He and the San Diego Youth Symphony just wrapped up a 5-year study on the brains of kids who play music, like those ones you heard from at Kellogg Elementary School in Chula Vista. Everson plans to use the data comparing brain changes in youth who played music and those who didn't to answer this question.
Much the same way that, increased nutrition might change the path of growth of a child's height. Are there certain activities such as music or other things that might change the trajectory of growth of the brain?
The answer, he says, lies in the brain cortex, the outer noodly part.
It's almost like a crumpled ball of paper. It's wrinkled up so it can fit inside of our skull. But if you were to straighten all those wrinkles out, you'd see it's just a sheet of neural tissue. So what we're looking at is basically how different regions of that are growing or shrinking over time.
At a very basic level, the ear and the brain kind of work like my recording setup.
The microphone is picking up my sound waves. It's turning it into a voltage. So that's kind of like what the ear is doing. But then once we get into the computer, it's turned into a digital file, right? So it's just turned into numbers. So that's a pretty good analogy in some sense for how the brain is recoding things from what we call analog to digital.
But add movement or lyrics, and multiple parts of the cortex have to work together, like an orchestra. The better your orchestra, the better your academics. At least that's the hypothesis.
What we found, interestingly, was that the size of the motor cortex, this area that controls movement and planning of movement, predicted individual differences in the ability to perceive a musical beat. Okay, so it's suggesting that there's something about this connection between hearing and moving that may develop this ability to hear patterns in time. And that, of course, is really the foundation for learning language, is the processing of sound.
Subdivide!
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and...
Everson says another way music might help with learning is by giving you a tiny conductor for your brain orchestra. Research from another UCSD scientist shows when they improvise, musicians suppress activity in the parts of the brain that control their inner dialogue and make you overthink.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
We tend to think of brain building as muscle building, like just make everything bigger and better. But it's really about control. And one thing that this suggests that music helps kids learn is actually how to regulate their own brain.
Again, just a hypothesis. Everson is still in the beginning phases of data analysis.
Can we start and see?
But my research, albeit not peer-reviewed, seems to back him up.
Music did change his life.
Scales it is.
Carol Medina's son, Anthony, has autism.
Bringing him to orchestra here, it just opened a whole new world for him. Had new friends, opened his mind. We started noticing a lot of parts of his learning expanding more.
I don't have 24.
The 12-year-old caught up with his Kellogg Elementary classmates in reading, and he seems to have that tiny conductor helping him regulate his thoughts and emotions.
It helps me when I have stress or more stuff. It's like a good feeling.
Everson and the San Diego Youth Symphony plan to release their findings nationwide to inform the push for arts in public schools.
I just really loved playing music. It's one of the best things I ever had in my life.
Megan Burks, KPBS News.
That was part of our ongoing series, What Learning Looks Like. To learn more about learning at the cellular level, go to kpbs.org/learning. The next film in the Star Wars franchise opens this week. KPBS film critic Beth Accomando has been a fan since the first film came out in 1977. So when she says she has a spoiler-free review, she means it. And here it is.
As a die-hard Star Wars fan who refused to watch any trailers for The Last Jedi, I know you don't want to know anything specific about this latest sequel. All you want to know is, can you go in expecting a good film? And the answer is yes. And I'll just add this. Leia has a strong presence that makes Carrie Fisher's final film role satisfying and bittersweet. And I'm thrilled that without referencing the prequels, this film firmly does away with the ridiculous notion of the midichlorians and returns the Force to what Obi-Wan said it was, an energy field created by all living beings.
What do you see? Light.
The Last Jedi reminds us why we fell in love with George Lucas's story in the first place, and for that, I'm blissfully grateful. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
The Last Jedi officially opens on Friday with early screenings on Thursday. And finally tonight, the pioneer filmmaker behind the film The Endless Summer has died. Bruce Brown's 1966 documentary follows two surfers traveling the world to find the perfect wave. It was made on a tiny budget, with Brown doing most of the work, from operating the camera to narrating. It was a cultural phenomenon and transformed the sport. A spokesperson says Brown died of natural causes in Santa Barbara. He was 80 years old. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.